The biggest thing that drew me away from radicalization was interaction with the average everyday person. When I was isolated and I got so into the religion in the beginning, I could have kept a better and a healthier relationship in the beginning by finding middle ground, going golfing with my dad more often, hanging out with my friends at Tim Hortons for a coffee. But cutting off those relationships, I started looking at things from the book's perspective without any context, without any practical reasoning. I was coming to my own conclusions and what we call do-it-yourself Islam. But as I grew with different mentors in the community and saw how people also dealt with different situations, and from my own experience, I realized that, human beings at the end of the day, we all bleed the same. So I think interaction with and integration is extremely important. And by isolating people like myself, then what you end up doing is you make them rebellious. It doesn't mean that they become violent, but they're not going to be very helpful. And in fact, people like myself, I think, have been very helpful over the years because we've seen the human factor, that we all bleed the same at the end of the day. You find these individuals taken into their own hands because of their frustration. They're frustrated with the political situation, not only in Canada, but abroad. So they sometimes align themselves with countries they've never been to. They don't understand the political nuances of those countries, but they feel that according to what they've learned, certain things should be enacted. I think there's a lot of young people like that that are just seeing what they want to see. It's extremely important to distinguish between holding radical views and becoming violent because, quite honestly, it doesn't matter what people believe. We're not thought police in Canada and abroad. What we want to know is whether or not those thoughts lead to enacting a violent, interpretation of anything, religion or secular laws. And so at the end of the day, when you look at these individuals like myself who might not look like the average Rob Heft anymore, you have to ask yourself, am I a team player for cooperating for safety? Now, are my views leading to these people? No, because I've been down the road, and what led me to that kind of thinking was taking religion into my own hands instead of taking it to the hands of qualified scholars. I don't think people understand that there are a lot of orthodox views that are radical, for sure, but they have nothing to do with, for example, becoming a vigilante and taking the law into their own hands. And we're the first sort of line of defense for the authorities as a neighborhood watch, as a community looking out for these signs of this criminal violence. And without having us on the ground to be able to report to the authorities, they're going in blind. And quite honestly, they'll cast the net too wide and indirectly cause more radical, violent jihadists, if you will, than they will solve.